everyone, and welcome to another episode of
Mum
and Son. I'm Jay, I'm the son.
I'm Alicia, and I'm the mum.
Hope everyone is well and doing great and feeling good. Today's episode, we won't even waste time and just get straight into it.
Yeah, today's one is about trusting in yourself or self-trust.
That's exactly it.
We thought we'd do that because the last episode that came into it a bit.
It did, and I think that theme is very important.
Yeah,
because it's something that I've also, I don't know, I always start with I've always done this or that in my life.
But that's
but
good.
Hey, this is what we do, because this is what
you're
we talk
young
about.
And it's a typical, thing that you've been through.
Talk about advice and stuff like that.
The ideas that we get for each episode is things that we are actually just talking about.
It's true,
and say, gosh, keep that for the next episode.
No,
let's remember to talk about that, isn't it? So, and obviously you know how you said you start with yourself. Why not? Because you're typical of the young, kind of age group there, whatever you're going through, whatever you're doing.
And then sometimes I'll say it and then you'll say it and then you also have your view on it and stuff. Yeah. And things like that.
Yeah.
Everyone watching will touch them in some way.
Yeah.
Kind of
across
regardless.
all age groups.
All age groups and everything else. So but I think for me, self-trust is definitely a very important one as well, because I think, well, just for me, I can only talk about myself, but when I'm going through life and I'm growing and you're making choices, and some choices you've made that have been wrong, you're thinking, gosh, like that went really wrong and it really messed up, or it didn't go well. Sure. Or sometimes you're going through something and you take a form of action and you look back and go, it wasn't the right thing to do or take. And then when something new presents itself, you're thinking, I don't know, can I trust myself to make the right choice? I've tried this before, it didn't work, or I might have failed at that. Can I trust myself to even come back on my feet and give it a other go? Yeah. When it feels like when I've gone for it, it hasn't planned out. And maybe that's a sense of too much blame on myself or something like that, or being a bit hard on myself. But it's like you do question yourself, gosh, can I trust myself again?
And I think from what you're saying, I think there are two things that, is worth mentioning, because there's self-doubt and there's self-trust. Yeah. And, obviously we can do another episode on doubt, but I think doubt may be from a place where you doubt yourself and how you will go forward. But we'll leave that for another episode. But trust is similar, but there's slight differences. But from what you were saying, it can, you can, when you have made mistakes, and you feel that you've made mistakes, and you feel that some of your decisions have been wrong, you're basically kind of thinking, I don't even know if I can trust myself to make the right choices, to make the right decisions, to make, or to do the things which I feel and I trust myself, but they haven't worked out. Yeah. And I think that is a very tough position to be in. So it's probably a good idea we're doing this episode, because so many people do find themselves, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what age or whatever. And it may not even matter the circumstance. You are in that position where you have to trust in yourself. And, I think when your trust is lost, you will have to find a way. Like, if people are watching and they have lost trust in themselves, this is not about in other people, because we could do that separate. But with regard to self-trust, if you have lost a trust, I think you have to go back to the beginning and do what we spoke about the other day, which is self-reflect. Yeah. Rebuild on your inner trust. and go again. And the next time you need to make that choice, the next time you need to make that decision, you have to say, I'm going to come from a place of self-trust. Yeah. Now, a bit like when we did self-reflection, or when we did decisions. So what?
Self-forgiveness.
Self-forgiveness.
Self-forgiveness, because we've done a few that are self-ones.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that.
But say, you know, we spoke a few episodes ago. Decision.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like that. In a way, it doesn't matter what the outcome will be.
Yeah. Just
trust in yourself to decide.
Yeah.
Or to do it or not to do it. But you have to come from trust.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't have the trust, I say go back, do the self-reflection.
Yeah.
Watch the self-reflection episode. And then if you feel you still can't do it, go back and watch the episode on, decisions.
Yeah.
Because both of those two episodes will bring you back to a place of empowerment.
Yeah.
That you can then say, I trust myself again. And you try and get rid of the doubt. But say, listen, I trust in my choice, my decision. I trust myself again. Even if you just tell yourself those words, I trust myself again to do.
That's good. To affirm.
That's a good place to start. I'm just going back to the core of things.
No, it's true.
If you feel you don't have it.
And that's what you always have to do with these things, because as we've mentioned in previous episodes, whether it's self-awareness or awareness, self this and self that, but
we were doing more self
things. It's always about coming back and knowing what's really going on.
As we spoke about that,
said,
didn't
these things are sometimes just the symptom or the outer effect of what's really going on.
That's true.
At a much deeper level. Yeah. So that's why it's important for, as you said, that self-reflection.
Yes.
And then the decisions one, people can watch it. But I remember we talked about sometimes most people are scared of making the wrong decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't trust yourself, obviously you're going to be scared to
trust yourself to do that.
To do if you have no trust there, because you go, the last time it went wrong, or it didn't work, or I failed, or blah 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 blah. Then you're going to be scared to go, I can't trust myself to make the right decision.
Correct.
But if you watch that episode, and as we talked about, regardless of any decision you make, it's better to make it. Yeah.
And that means, if there is a thing within you about trusting yourself to make decisions or to make choices, you have to go back to say, I need to make the choice, I need to make the decision, and I trust in myself to do it. You have to allow yourself to trust yourself again. Yeah, exactly. To do it.
As you said with the affirmed, right?
Yeah, you have to. Because otherwise you're stuck.
That's true.
You're not going to go forward. Yeah. And, you're going to look to other people to make decisions for you. You're going to look to other people to make choices for you. And I'd rather have self-trust and make the wrong decision than get someone else to make the wrong decision, because then you'll have someone to blame. You have to take the responsibility of, let me trust in myself and let me do what I feel is right.
I think that's important, as you said, trust in myself and let me do what feels right, because I look at it, and especially when you have some young people, some may be creative, and they want to pursue that, and then people might say, hey, listen, this creative thing is hard, or it's not as guaranteed to lead to anything afterwards, or it's very scarce, or even maybe people want to be entrepreneurs, and it's like, but that's risky, this is a bit, not crazy, but a bit insane. If it doesn't work and it doesn't go well, like, it's going to really damage you, or you're going to feel that hit and so on. And then you could trust yourself and say, hey, no, I'm trusting that I can make this work.
Correct.
Or this is something that I like.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because sometimes if you do it and then it doesn't work that time, it doesn't mean it won't work overall. But if it doesn't work that time, you could say, gosh, I was wrong. And those people, even though they were negative and weren't necessarily right, but because the outcome initially has appeared like that, you could go, they were right and I was wrong. Gosh, like, can I trust myself even if I wanted to do something the next time because I was wrong on this occasion?
But you can take ownership.
Yeah, but that's it. You know,
when you leave it in the hands of other people, you might say, listen, I trust in my friend, so I'm going to ask him for him or her to make the judgment or to help me choose or help me decide. Do you know what I mean? That you can do that, and we so often do. But then if something goes wrong, you'll say, my gosh, I shouldn't have listened to them. I shouldn't have listened to them.
True,
I should have,
trusted myself.
And that gives you then the ability to, pass the buck and say, if it hadn't been for them, I could have or if they hadn't told me, I could have I think with life, I mean, we haven't done one on responsibility, but I think in life you do have to try and take responsibility, and trusting in yourself is giving yourself the trust and responsibility that you may afford to others, but it's time for you to give that to yourself, to put matters in your own hands, and you take ownership and responsibility of, trusting in yourself enough to say, if it's to be, it's kind of going to be up to me. And even if people did say, don't do it and but you still said, I trusted myself to do it and it went wrong. You can say, I trusted myself, and even though I made the wrong decision as part of that trust, I still trust myself to go on to make the right decision the next time. You give yourself that power to say, I'm going to try again, and I'm going to give myself the power to trust in myself again. And appreciating it as a process. That's it, rather than beating yourself up. This or that, or that type of thing. That very rigid point of view on it. And I think linking this a bit into one of our previous episodes as well, on being on consistency. And I think, as I said in that, and you should check that episode out, but it's almost as if you trust yourself more and you stay consistent with certain things, if you are pursuing them, it will actually happen. But as well as trusting yourself to make that choice and make a decision, you also got to trust yourself during the process of it happening. And the more consistent you are, the more you build that trust in, hey, I can be consistent in this, rather than using, let's say if you go through a bit of a bump in the road whilst you're doing something, whilst you're going to achieve something, you don't get in that inconsistent thing of, well, as you said, I don't take ownership because of this, it didn't work, or so-and-so said this, and that's it. Because then you don't trust yourself, not just to make a choice, but you don't trust yourself to see it through. So I think, as well as making a choice in everything, you then gotta add the quality of being consistent to trust yourself seeing something actually through. Absolutely. Because if it didn't work the first time, doesn't mean it wasn't going to. It could have, had you kept going on, but you didn't trust yourself enough to keep going. Yeah, that's a very, very powerful point. You know what? When you were saying that, something came to me, and I thought, you know what? Shall I tell you what the best way, or the best way to trust yourself immediately? Shall I tell you what it is? Hit us with it. Act on your intuition. Wow, yeah. When you act on your intuition, I mean, I won't go into anything too deep. Do another episode. That's another episode. But when you act on your intuition, that is the truest trust you can afford yourself. If your intuition tells you something straight away, listen, trust, and then do. Because that is probably the most realist information you're going to get.
That's very true.
You know, if you ponder and, you know, analyze and question anything that came intuitively to you, your mind is going to mess it up. It's going to say, oh, but da, da, da. That's when the doubt, the self-doubt, the things come in, and the indecision. But if you act very quickly on your intuition, it told me, my intuition's telling me do this, and that was like the first instant you intuitively felt you should or you shouldn't. Go with that and trust in that. That's what I would say to anyone.
Yeah, and you know what, and that's very true, because every time a decision has been made from that place, it's usually been the right one.
Yeah.
And
intuitively, you can talk yourself out of it.
But that's what I'm about to say. And then sometimes some people don't trust their intuition or themselves that deeply. Yeah. Because they've lost that connection.
Definitely.
And they're now thinking from a different place. And
Worry,
their mind's full of worries
fear,
and fears and doubts, and sometimes talks them out of it. And so on. So we'll definitely do an episode on that.
I'd love to.
That's important, but you're absolutely right. Coming from that place, that intuitions, people may say a gut feeling or like whatever, but coming from that place is usually
immediately gives you inner trust. When you act from that place. Yeah. You know, because I was thinking of, you know, people watching thinking, gosh, you know, what is it that, you know, because if you don't trust yourself, you know, how can you be convinced to trust yourself? Because you've got a bit of self-doubt creeping in there, a bit of indecision creeping in there, a bit of fear, a bit of worry. And you know, I kind of remembered that the most powerful form of you know, the most powerful thing you can have to act on something, to do something, to trust in that something is your intuition. Go with that. Don't question it. Don't doubt it. Don't add too much. The minute you got it, that probably be, and most likely, almost 100% can be the right kind of trust you need to give yourself to go forward with a choice, with a decision, with an action, with whatever it is you need to do.
That's powerful.
And that'd be my advice to you know, anyone watching. Trust your gut feelings and your intuition. They're often right.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's absolutely true. It's funny how we started this. That was not overlooked, but wasn't thought about. But ending it is. And it's a very... I'm glad for everyone watching, especially if you've been sticking through and you've watched this whole episode and sort of coming towards the final minutes of it, to hear that about trusting your intuition, and that it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah,
it's a very powerful thing.
I mean, because at the end of the day, even when you self-reflect on things, you try and go back to what, you know, why don't you trust yourself? You know, and you mentioned a few things that could cause you to not trust yourself. But there has to reach a point, regardless of everything that has gone on, you have to come back to that self-reflection and looking at, you know, where did your self-trust get destroyed? Yeah. You know, and then when you can look at the things that went wrong, it's a bit like indecision. When you look at if you can't trust yourself, take a look at the things that went wrong that led you to not trust yourself. Look at the things that have gone wrong. See them for what they are. See them as stepping stones to something that you had to learn or had to acquire or accommodate as part of your life in order for you to go forward. So you know, when you look at what went wrong, what was the decisions I made wrong? What have I messed up on? I messed up on this, I messed up on that, I messed up on that. Okay, so you say it's 3 things you feel that you messed up or you failed in.
Yeah.
You know, because you made the wrong decision or the wrong choices. So you look at those things and you say to yourself, what is it that I learned, or what did they teach me as part of my life's journey?
Mm-hmm.
You say, right, the thing that went wrong that time, I learned this. The thing that I went wrong last time, I learned this. And this is what I learned on the 3rd one, say, for example. You take what you learned as valuable lessons.
Yeah.
And you appreciate those lessons and say, I value and appreciate what I learned. And I'm now ready to trust in myself again.
Yeah.
To go forward again.
That's huge. And I think I like the way we just added like an affirmation of sorts, or a mantra, or just words to stick by, depending on however you view it, to sort of say or declare or remember. Because, and as you said, again. Trust yourself again. That's a very powerful thing. And I think we like mentioning things sometimes that are very light,
but are powerful
and very open. Yeah, they have an open feel to them. Yes, very powerful yet very light, that you don't counteract it or anything. You just almost stick to it and dwell with it.
It's a bit like the one you said about trying.
Yeah.
And then I said the other day in the other episode, I'm open to receiving.
Yeah, open to receiving.
And this is like that, isn't it? A powerful one, that I'm ready to trust myself again, or I'm open to trusting myself again.
Just like that. You know? And it does. It's so simple yet so effective. And this for me has been a good episode as like, well, just talking about, we'll do one about trusting others. Definitely, but also just about trusting yourself, because I just feel that as you are growing, making decisions, and you're learning as you're going along, sometimes you can get to the point, if you've had a bit of setbacks here, or this didn't go well, or you was like, hey, this is going to work, and then it didn't, you can get to a point sometimes where you think, gosh, like, can I really trust myself, or trust myself to make the right choice, or trust myself in this and that? As we talked about in this episode, one, coming from a place of intuition and connecting with that is so huge.
That's huge.
It will always show you the right thing. And also, it's also a process, because once you make a choice, once you're getting back in tune with yourself, but once, as I said, you make that choice, you've got to trust yourself to keep going.
Absolutely, like with the consistency.
Yeah, like with the consistency thing. So it's.
And if you ever, like I said, if you ever feel like I've made all the wrong moves, things haven't gone right, just look at what you can learn from. But that's each mistake.
Then look what you can learn.
Yeah, take it on board and say, well, that taught me that.
Yeah.
That taught me that.
And then trust that you're...
And then you say, I'm open to trusting myself again, to go again, to allow myself to move forward. Because again, with all these things, if you don't trust in yourself, then it's a bit like the decision making, you're stuck.
That's it.
Exactly. You're going to see if you can pass the buck on to someone else. You shouldn't. It's your life. You have to make the choices and decisions that are relevant to you. And sometimes you have a specific path. It's not their path. It's your path.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have a specific path that requires you to trust in yourself enough to keep on that path.
Yeah.
You give it to someone else to sort of say, oh, but I know that when I speak to my sister or my brother, that they'll give me the right. I'll give it to them to make the decision for me. That's not taking ownership.
No, it's definitely not
responsibility.
And I think as well, just as you were saying things, that even if something doesn't go right or this and that, you gotta trust yourself. Trust that you'll figure it out.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I also
trust you will figure it out.
Trust that you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
As well.
And you have to give that back to you to do. You know, no one can do it for you. And why should they?
Yeah.
You know, I know we do it all the time. We do speak to friends, family. I'm not saying that, you know, you are obliged to operate on your own. You do take into account people's views and things if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why we have friends, we have family, you know, to listen to others. There's no harm in that. But at the end of the day, you must make the choice. You must make the decision. You must trust not just them, but yourself to make the right call and to do what you know intuitively is right.
Yeah. That
Would
is
you
it.
reckon?
Yeah, that's it. In a nutshell, that summarizes it all. So that really does. So,
well, I hope, in fact, I don't hope, I know for sure that definitely those of you who are listening or have listened to this episode will definitely be able to take something. I have.
Same,
you know,
same,
you said you had, so I've definitely been able to take something. And leave your comments for us. We love to read them. We love to hear back from you. It really does, you know, support the whole process of bringing out another episode, because people said, oh, you know, we want to hear a little, find out more about this or that.
Yeah.
And maybe eventually we'll definitely get some questions and answers from people as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be great as well to talk about.
Definitely.
So thanks masses for joining us for this episode. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yep, and if you want to check out our other episodes, then please feel free to. And also, if you want to find out about when the next ones come out and want some notifications, then hit the notification bell and subscribe as well. And if you enjoyed this one, then please feel free to leave a thumbs up. And as Mum said, leave any comments as well. So, I trust we'll see you for the next episode.
We trust.
Okay, so this is MumNSon, and we're done for this one. See you on the next one.
Thanks for watching.